Welcome to Strawberry Shift. Today we are going to talk about tree pose, specifically inner child. So my inner child bought this crown. Do you like it? So if you didn't know yet, I love the rainbow. Rainbow! Yes, that is a tattoo. Isn't it cool? Because it looks like paint. I love the rainbow because the rainbow symbolizes so much. It symbolizes magic. It symbolizes unity. It symbolizes, Dolly Parton says, you can't have the rainbow without the rain. And my beautiful niece, Kendall, she has on her left arm, she has a rain cloud. And so when I put my right arm next to her left arm, we have the rainbow and the rain cloud. Isn't that cute? And then I also have this wand. So you might think, seriously, Mandy, you're a 46-year-old woman with a rainbow crown and a wand. And then look at like my office. Look at what I manifested that painting. I totally manifested that. A beautiful, beautiful friend of mine. He doesn't have the link yet, but he actually went to Africa and he gets these paintings from this amazing, she sounds like a magical artist. She paints that on a sheet. And when I saw that, I went, oh, because lions are my spirit animal. If you look around my house, I have another picture of a lion over there, and it's a lion on my phone. And look he's like rainbow. If you didn't notice. So inner child work is, we can't have a foundation of being calm and centered as healers, as coaches, as people who work with other people's psyche and souls and hearts if we don't take care of our inner child. I would say if you were to sit in this office with me and you were to listen to all of my sessions with my clients, you would hear me talk about inner child, inner child, inner child so much. I would say that is a majority of what I talk about. How old were you when you felt that way? How are you taking care of little and then their name? It is the reason why, and I got to give one of my therapists credit, Rick. He taught me this when I started working with him back in 2013 is when I really started deep therapy work. And Rick, he used the metaphor of, those Russian dolls where it's a doll within a doll within a doll. That is like who we are, however old you are. Like I'm 46. But there's actually a 5-year-old in me, there's a 7-year-old in me, there's a 17-year-old in me, like OMG, there's a 32-year-old in me. So every age that you've been, that is who is inside of you. And Michael Brown, in the presence process, it's like, oh my gosh. So he talks about how pretty much, and this makes so much sense, especially if you look at our leaders of our countries, we stop emotionally growing after the age of 7. Isn't that fascinating? It's like, no wonder we have such trouble in relationships and why there's so much trouble in countries and corporations and why there's so many scandals and why we're so confused and it's such a mess and why planet Earth is such a mess. When I read that, I was like, that makes so much sense why planet Earth is such a mess. We physically grow, we mentally grow, but we emotionally stop growing after the age of 7. Unless, I'm gonna do a plug here again for the presence process, unless we integrate it through awareness, through meditation, contemplation, and ta-da, inner child work. Now, you don't need to get a rainbow crown and a wand. My beautiful friend Malia, before she passed, gave me, my friend Kim and I, each a wand. The battery died, but the noise is really annoying, so it's probably good that it's not working. But Malia knew the power of getting in touch with your inner child. So it's different for everyone. Let me share with you about what happens if you don't get in touch with your inner child and what happens with your clients if you don't get in touch with your inner child. It's already happening. So for me, it was migraines. So chronic illness or addiction. Chronic illness or addiction, or severe emotional issues, anxiety. I had a client where he kept going through issues of betrayal, and it was fascinating. Like, I didn't know anybody that got betrayed. more than him. It was like over and over and over and over again. Then I heard his story from his childhood. Here's the best way I could put it in like a Snapchat version. Whatever we experienced in our childhood, whatever wound we experienced in our childhood, it's gonna keep coming up in our adulthood until we integrate it. There's no way around it. And so whatever happened in our childhood that we just don't want to look at, it's just going to keep coming up and the story's going to keep repeating. So for me, I got my first, can you take me seriously when I point with this wand and how I have my crown on? I don't want to take it off. I like it. My little girl likes it. So, and my 17-year-old kind of likes it too. So I got my first migraine when I was 11 years old. I remember I was out at the playground and it was hot outside. And now I know that heat is a major trigger of migraines. And I remember I fell to my knees and immediately started crying. It was like the worst pain. And I started feeling nauseated. I thought like I might be dying. I didn't understand. I was 11 years old. I was scared. My body had never done anything like this. You know, I remember going to the nurse's station and I asked her to cut off my head. A little dramatic. I was in a lot of pain. And from that moment forth, my life was forever changed because my body, and it started to happen what I perceived as random times. Now, fast forward, I went to many doctors, neurologists, got my blood taken, acupuncture, chiropractor, naturopath, supplements. I mean, I tried so many things, so many weird things. Everyone was like, oh, you have a migraine. I know the answer. And nothing seemed to work. It wasn't actually until I started doing inner child work that I realized it was my little girl who I was abandoning, who was scared and I wasn't meeting her needs. And when I started paying attention to my little girl, I started feeling better. It sounds so simple, but it really is the truth. And it takes courage. It takes courage to really get in touch with that inner child. Because if you're anything like me, I was terrified of you or anyone meeting her and seeing her because I had such a fear of abandonment. And it was such a catch-22 because here I had this fear of abandonment. And so I shoved away my little girl and I put forward this mask that wasn't really me, but it's how I survived. And so you got to know this mask, right? And this is what a lot of us do. I'm not unique. This is just, my flavor and you might not like rainbows and you might not want a strawberry tattoo, or you might. I know that if you come to Boise, I know a great tattoo artist, just let me know. But we all do this. Even if, I heard someone say the other day, I didn't have any trauma in my childhood. And I'm like, did you live on planet Earth? We've all had trauma. We've all had trauma because let me back up a minute. What is trauma? Trauma is when we disconnect from our true self. That's trauma. Trauma is not getting hit. Trauma is not the assault. Trauma is nothing that happens externally. That's actually not the trauma. Trauma is what happens inside. That's the trauma. You can send 100 soldiers overseas to war, and 50 of them could come back traumatized, and the other 50 not traumatized. Why? 50 of them abandoned themselves. 50 of them were not true to themselves, or the other 50 were. That's trauma. Trauma is whenever we disconnect from who we are. For me, I disconnected. Now, I wasn't conscious of this. It took a lot of therapy and a lot of work, a lot of meditation, contemplation, and therapy for me to get here. But I'm going to share with you, really getting in touch and becoming aware that you've got a little person inside of you. You got a little girl, you got a little boy, you got this little energy, this just sweet, innocent little energy inside of you. And it's so important that you connect, deliberately and consciously connect with this energy inside of you every day. It doesn't need to be an hour. It doesn't need to be this huge project, but it's about becoming aware of it, because if you don't, they're going to start driving the bus. They're going to be the ones texting someone. You don't want them in charge of your marriage. You don't want them in charge of your business. And that's usually what happens. They usually take over because they're not getting seen and heard. So they're the ones that usually start making decisions. And they're the ones that we're like, why did I do that? I wasn't even drinking. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? It's your inner child, yo. But you start taking care of your inner child. You start nurturing your inner child. Then there's a trust there. Now, this is deep work. This is a first video of many, because inner child work is also getting into also some shadow work. I'm not going to get into shadow work yet. Let's stay focused on inner child work, because I really want to encourage you to simply start. I'm going to assume if you're watching this that you haven't even begun this process yet, or maybe you've dabbled in it, but you haven't been consistent. So here's what I'm going to recommend. If you haven't already, get a picture of your little self. Where's little Mandy? Isn't she cute? Isn't she cute? Look at that stand. Look at her little sass. Look at that arm. Now, do you notice something interesting about her? What is she wearing? Do you see what she's wearing on her dress? Those are strawberries. Did you know that when I got inspiration to do Strawberry Shift, I got Compassion Strawberries, and then I got the inspiration to do Strawberry Shift. Did you know I wasn't even thinking of my little girl? My little girl loved strawberry shortcake. So if you're from my generation, whoop, whoop, strawberry shortcake, yo. She was obsessed with strawberry shortcake. So my sweet mama bought me so many things that had strawberries on them. So it's so beautiful, because I look back on photos of me as a little girl wearing so many things that had strawberries on them. So something that you'll learn again in Michael Brown is that when you're upset, it's a setup, and it's usually her. So when you're upset, it's your little one. I always encourage my clients who are married to get a picture not only of themselves, but also their spouse, because then they know that it's not your adult spouse who's upset, it's the little one. And this helps with compassion, because okay, I'm not talking to my 45-year-old husband right now, or my 38-year-old husband right now, or my 65-year-old husband right now, or my 72-year-old wife right now. I'm talking to a 6-year-old, but it's not to be condescending. It's to have compassion. So when I'm upset, I know that it's her, and I know she needs attention, and I know I need to slow down, and I know I need to check in, and I know I need to ask what does she need. And 9 times out of 10, what she needs is to be seen, heard, and understood. That's what she needs, is to be seen, heard, and understood. And she needs a safe place to know that it's going to be okay. Guess what my inner child needs a lot of, and your inner child needs a lot of? They don't really get a lot of play. We forgot how to play. That's why I'm doing this, celebrate compassion party, because as adults, we're so serious. And we have a lot of pressure. And I get it. I gotta call the insurance. There's a crack on my windshield. We gotta pay taxes, and there's bookkeeping, and blah, 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 blah. I gotta change the air filter in the house, blah, blah, blah. There's all these things, right? I love how my niece says, Kendall says, adulting. We're adulting, but it's play. We forgot how to play. Here's how you know you're taking care. Here's how you know you're taking care of your inner child. You know how you know you're taking care of your inner child? How often do you feel joy? How often do you feel joy? I am so grateful, so grateful. I have the most beautiful, fun, magical girlfriends from high school, and they are willing to play. They're willing to play. So twice a year, they're all moms, and thankfully they are willing to take the time, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal they're all so busy, lots on their plates, and we all make the time to get away twice a year for 4 or 5 days. And we go to McCall, or we also find a place in beautiful Joseph. And guess what we do? We play. We play together, and we're middle-aged women who dress up. We dress up and we play. It's like our 17-year-olds come out again, and we giggle and we laugh, and it's such a great time. That is so nurturing for the soul. And every time I have a girls' trip with them, or it was my friend Jill's birthday last week, and my friends Raquel and Angie, we surprised Jill with dressing up like hippies, because why not? So Jill came over. We told Jill to wear a sundress, and she looked more hippie than we did. Like, she looked so good. And so we had like hippie, accessories and glasses, and we played like hippie music, and we played. That's what we did. We forgot how to play. When was the last time you played? What does your inner child need? When was the last time you talked to your little girl, your little boy? When's the last time you connected with your inner child? I've had many clients who I've asked that to, and many times they've said, I don't know. And so if that's you, if you go, gosh, Mandy, I don't know. I don't know what she wants. I don't know what he wants. I don't know what they want. Know that that's okay. That means there's not a connection. And you might say, well, Mandy, that's not good. No, here's the thing. Now you're aware. So now it's beautiful. You're watching this video. Now you're ready to connect. Now you're aware there's a disconnect. Now you're aware that you're not tuned in. And so here's the really good news. You start tuning in and you start connecting. You'll start getting answers. Like, I get answers right away. I'm like, what do you need? I'm hungry. It's usually food. It's usually rest, or she needs a hug. I mean, it's very simple. It's like, think of like a real child. I'm not a mother of a human child. I'm a mother of a four-legged baby, Whiskey. But, you think of, for those of you who actually have children, you think of another child, but they're inside of you. I'm bored. Are you done working yet? Are you done yet? I want to do this. I want to play, right? So it's like, I'm hungry. I'm bored. I want a hug. I'm sad. I need you to hear me. So it's usually very simple things. That's it. And it's being there with them and being present with them, having fun with them and playing. And then I'll end on this note. Here's what magically happens. Instead of taking over and driving the wheel, and instead of causing migraines or feeling like you got to numb this pain, now you're going to experience more joy. Now you are going to experience this elusive thing called peace. You ever wonder, like, gosh, you don't have to shave your head and become a monk to experience peace. You don't. You just need to get in touch with that inner child. So let me know. I'll be so curious, so interested to hear your feedback, your experience in playing with your inner child. Remember, strawberry shift, the strawberry symbolizes the heart, which means it's the ultimate symbol for the zeal of God, which is enthusiasm for love, which our world definitely needs more of. Thanks for being here.